But let's turn our attention now to the Oscar Pistorius murder trial. The athlete is likely to take the stand when the case resumes tomorrow. Should he testify, Pistorius will not only get the opportunity to tell his side of the story, but will have to answer tough questions from prosecutor Gerrie Nel, while criminal law expert William Booth is in our Cape Town studios to talk about what the defence's strategy is likely to be. William, thank you for joining us and good morning. What are the chances that Oscar Pistorius will take the stand tomorrow, and will that be the best move for the defense?
Good morning. Well, we've heard from the defense that they are going to be calling Oscar Pistorius. What normally happens in a criminal trial, after the state has closed its case, the defense will proceed with its case. And in normal circumstances, the accused would testify first. So I think it's to be expected that they will call him first, unless there is a very good reason to call other witnesses first, because the accused is in court at the time his witnesses are testifying, and the concern might be that he would tailor his evidence listening to the evidence of his witnesses. Except this case is a bit unique, because all the state witnesses could have listened to the other witnesses testifying before them. We've also heard that the defense has certain forensic experts. They are likely to call them. And then there was talk of the defense consulting with state witnesses who are on the list of witnesses, those that have not testified yet. But I think it's expected that Oscar will be called to the stand tomorrow. Tomorrow
William,
morning.
For those of us who are not familiar as to the actual process, then will Gerrie Nel actually get the chance to cross-examine Oscar Pistorius directly after his own defense?
Yes, that's what happens. He will testify, as it's called, legally in chief, and then the prosecution will have the opportunity to cross-examine him. There may be a concern because there's talk that the case will not continue on Monday because there's a recess and may only start up again in the middle of April. So if he does testify tomorrow first, that might mean his evidence is interrupted, and he will have to wait 2 weeks before he gives further evidence, or before the cross-examination starts. So maybe he gives his evidence after being questioned by the defense, and that there is then that adjournment to allow Gerrie Nel and his prosecuting team to commence their cross-examination of Pistorius.
Now, just judging, William, from everything that we've heard from the state witnesses so far, if Oscar Pistorius does take the stand first, and whenever that may be, what is the defense's sort of line of questioning likely to be? What is their strategy likely to be? Where will they start with him?
Well, I think they will start by sketching his relationship with Reva. They've made much of the fact that they were in a loving relationship. Then they will, from there, move on to the events of the evening before, and then obviously going through to the next morning and dealing with the actual incident. Now, we all know that Oscar's defense in this matter is one that he believed that there was an intruder. That's the reason he went to get his firearm and shot 4 times through the toilet door. So that is what he is going to tell the court. And there's obviously the affidavit that he presented during the bail hearing. That is also evidence. And he's going to have to stick exactly to what he said in that and what has been put to the state witnesses during the course of the trial by his defense team.
And also from what we've heard so far from the side of the state, William, has the defense suffered considerable damage in your opinion? Just everything, including what we heard from the witnesses who testified about the other incidents. We're looking at the Tasha's incident, and where Oscar Pistorius allegedly shot through the sunroof of the car and then had other people take the blame for that. Do they have a lot of work ahead of them in terms of damage control and what came from those state witnesses?
Well, I believe they do. You know, much was said about the way the police conducted their investigation and how they dealt with the crime scene, the moving of potential exhibits, the way that the firearm was handled, without gloves, and how investigator Botha, who didn't testify for the state, arrived on the crime scene and did not take the necessary precautions with regard to securing the scene and preventing contamination. But all that aside, even if the judge does exclude all of that evidence, which could happen, you still have the evidence of the neighbors, and I think that evidence stood quite well under very vigorous cross-examination. The issue of what happened at Tasha's and in the motor car, I must say those witnesses weren't particularly impressive as far as I'm concerned, but it did go to show that he is possibly an aggressive person, that he may act irresponsibly. The state added those charges, I think, to build the picture that Oscar is likely to have got involved in an argument, lost his temper, and then grabbed his firearm and discharged the shots. So I think there's a pretty good case to meet as from the defense side. But bear in mind, the defense has no onus. They don't have to prove anything in a trial. And he, in fact, that is Oscar now, has the right not to even testify.
Okay, but they have already told us he will. We'll have to wait and see when that will happen. Thank you very much. That's criminal law expert William.
Thank you.
Know more about your world.
eNCA.com.